Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David, of course, and I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. I've got a little halo on there, but this is what it looks like. This is May, June 2012. Ooh, we're pulling them out of the archives. Uh, Heart of America Group, Michael, right in the middle there. Good to see you on the cover. And another good looking issue. But I always like looking to see what I was doing way back then in 2012. Well, I'm shoveling manure. I was doing some stuff at the old house, and that was me. I'm looking pretty beasty there, but I did all that myself, and that was actually mulch. I did the manure the week before, but anyway, this is what the magazine used to look like, and looks like I had this was my GC issue, but really healthy, 130, 140 pages. We went digital August of 2021, so we no longer print the magazine. Well, we do have a print on demand service, so we still print, but we're 100% digital, and get a couple million people a month that hit the website consuming content. Thank you to all of you out there, and it's been an amazing ride. Don't miss the post office. Don't miss the printer. It's just been unbelievable, going digital, making the transformation from print face to face with our events to digital, and just an amazing ride. And this last year, I've taken a year of digital classes. I'm just about ready to launch my digital agency, and you can teach an old dog new tricks. It's amazing. You just have to, keep your mind open and just, consume it. So I hope everybody's getting ready for the holidays. It's Friday before Christmas week. It's sunny here in Atlanta. A little chilly, but we'll take the sun. Hope everybody's getting ready. And I saved the best for last. I have a gentleman out of Toledo, Ohio, and his name, I want to get it right here. It's Matt Aston. He's the CEO and founder of GPRS, and they look for utilities and through concrete and all sorts of stuff. And I'm going to let him tell them you talk about it. But basically, they want to make sure that they know what's underneath the ground before you start digging. So with that said, Matt, say hello to our listeners out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hey, good afternoon. We're looking forward to this conversation and helping get the message out about GPRS and how we can help on construction sites across the country.
Absolutely. Before we get into discussion, I actually have a new sponsor, and I have a short little video that we're gonna take a look at. So as soon as that's over, it's very short. We'll come back and we'll start with Matt's story. So enjoy the video, and we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. For all you contractors out there struggling to hire, I want to introduce you to a partner, dear friends of mine, the Contractor Consultants. This is the company that is putting recruiters and staffing agencies out of business. So if you're a construction business right now and you're struggling to hire, you want to grow and expand your team next year, and you're sick and tired of sifting resumes and all the administrative burden of hiring, well, I've got something very special for you. These guys have figured it out. They've made construction hiring faster, easier, and a lot more affordable. They're endorsed by ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and they work nationwide across all 87 industries. So if you want to put your hiring to bed for a small monthly fee and learn a new way, a better way, a more effective way to hire in our industry, schedule a call and learn more about this new hiring solution. Text HIRE to 66866. That's HIRE to 66866. Worst case scenario, you show up on the call and you'll learn a few things you didn't already know about hiring. These guys wrote the book, the course, and are doing it every day. Welcome to the show, and thank you for listening.
Hey everybody, we're back. Thanks for watching the video and our sponsor for Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Reach out to them, and hopefully you'll like their product. So this is the way it's going to work. Matt, you're gonna tell your story, where you grew up, play any sports, where you went to school, and kids, dogs, cats, all that good stuff, and how you ended up where you are today. Then we'll talk about lessons learned from the roller coaster that we've all been on over the last 3.5 years, and then you'll leave your contact info, one positive thought or phrase for our listeners, and then we'll close out the episode. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Very good. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my name is Matt Aston, born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. I've lived here for all but 1.5 years of my life. A brief stint at Hillsdale College, and I met my wife the night before I was going back for my sophomore year, and realized that she was not going to say yes to me if I was going away to school. So asked her out a few times over that semester, and finally made the decision at Christmas time to transfer back to the University of Toledo. We started dating, and here we are. It'll be 26 years in January, and 3 kids later, and we're on the verge of an empty nest now. But my wife Tara and I have 3 kids: Ashley, Trevor, and Travis, and it's been great. I'm amazed by how fast that time has gone. Our youngest graduates here in May from high school. But yeah, I grew up here. My dad had his own business. He started it when I was 3 years old. It was a concrete cutting company, and uh, I did not want anything to do with concrete cutting. I helped on those jobs when I was in high school and college, learned a little bit about the business, and I wanted to go, big company, work in a tall building, somewhere in New York or Boston or Chicago. So I went into finance, and shortly after college, I got a job as a financial analyst for a big automotive company based here in Toledo. And it didn't take long to realize that the corporate world was just not for me. It wasn't where I wanted to be. So I talked to my dad about going into business with him, exactly what I thought I was not going to do. And we went out to lunch one day, and he said, Matt, I'd love to have you join me in the business. And so that was kind of the plan. And about a week later, he called me and said, hey, let's go out to lunch. So I met him for lunch again, and he said, I think this is wrong. I think you should do something on your own. I think you should find your own way. And I was pretty devastated at first, but he said, I think if you were to come in and buy this business from me, I think you would always have this doubt about whether or not you could have started it and whether or not you could have got it off the ground and got it to where it is today. So I think you should really do something on your own. And he gave me this magazine. And in that magazine, there was an advertisement for this ground penetrating radar. And one of the applications they identified with ground penetrating radar was the ability to find embedded or buried electrical conduits in a concrete slab prior to saw cutting. And I knew from my time helping out on my dad's job sites that this was a huge problem. It seemed inevitable that if they were going to be cutting concrete, at some point they were going to cut through electrical, and it was going to be a surprise, and it was going to cause chaos on the job site, and then unexpected repairs and shutdowns. And thought, okay, I think this could be a business that we could probably build up and gain some traction with in the construction industry. I had no background in ground penetrating radar or any experience, in that area. Still very green. I went out to New Hampshire to get trained on the equipment. I tell people that I was scared on the way out there, and after 3 days of training at the manufacturer's facility, I was terrified on the way home. But spent time going to different job sites where concrete cutting was going to take place to try to learn and apply the training that I received in New Hampshire to how to help bring value to the construction industry in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, where I'm from. And found a few other applications where we could bring value. So not just finding electrical, but also determining the exact placement of reinforcing steel within a concrete slab. So if you had to core drill a hole through a concrete floor or concrete structure, we could lay out the exact placement of the rebar or post tensioning cable, and that way the core drill could be drilled without jeopardizing any structural integrity of the structure.
Mm-hmm.
The manufacturer had another antenna that could look deeper into the ground with the primary application of using it to find underground utilities prior to an excavation. That same antenna could also be used to identify underground storage tanks or voids underneath under the ground. So, well, what started out as a focus really almost exclusively in that one area of finding electrical prior to saw cutting has turned into many other services, all revolving around damage prevention and helping keep construction sites safer when saw cutting, core drilling, excavating. And then over the last few years, we've added a few more services like video pipe inspection, where we can run a camera through a sewer and give a look inside the sewer to determine condition, to determine if there's any directional drilling that has penetrated the sewer. Then we've also added water leak detection services and laser scanning services. So 3D laser scanning, building three-dimensional models and point clouds with using laser as the measurement tool.
Yeah, my family's been in construction since 1888, and we were in recycling and demolition. We were in sustainability before it was even a word. But anyway, just like yourself, when I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and all the grandsons got the driver's license at 16, you know where you had to go? You had to go to Uncle Frank in the scrapyard at 7 in the morning in the summers. You had no choice, or you weren't gonna, drive your car.
Right.
So I used to play down in the scrap and all that, and here I am in construction. I'm not doing it, but I mean, I everything that I learned there, I kind of knew, and I grew up with tools and cranes and all that stuff. And it's amazing when you look back that those things that you weren't going to do. Now, my cousins, they're running the business right now, but it's still family, but everything I learned there, I use kind of here because look, I build this magazine every month. I'm a constructor. I used to use paper and ink and materials now, and now I'm digital, but I still do the same thing. I built this. I'm proud of it. And I don't drive by it and say, hey, I built that, but I'm still a manufacturer. I'm a builder. And I always like people that my son, I told the same thing. He goes, hey, Dad, why don't you take me into the business? I'm like, bro, you need to his name is Brody, so I call him bro. I'm like,
Okay.
bro, you need to go work out and get fired a couple times, okay? Because let me tell you, I coached him all through sports and all that, and I was very hard on him and wanted him to have thick skin, so he was ready when he jumped out of my nest. He was going to be able to handle the business world. He works at Boeing right now. He went to FA mechanic school. He's working on the 787 at 24. He's a flight ops specialist. I mean, it's just crazy to see him work on these $350 million airplanes. But at the time, I said, look, you need to go out and find. I don't care what you do, just go out and work, make mistakes or whatever. And if you want to come back, at least you'll have some experience of what it is to become an entrepreneur. You can see if you like the corporate world or this or that. And that's the route that he took. But like you've been with your sweetheart from high school or whatever college, been together with my wife now 33 years. So you and I have a lot in common, from that whole from the family standpoint, but also that family business and the nepotism. And your father probably did when even though you're probably devastated when he said, hey, you know what, I think you're probably devastated, but it's probably the best thing that you ever did. Am I right?
It was a huge favor, and I've told him this a few times, but yeah, it was just a lack of confidence on my side. But he evidently saw something in me that I hadn't yet seen in myself, and yeah, that gave me some confidence. Hey, if my dad thinks I can do this, I must be able to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had my son on my podcast probably like, I don't know, 6, 8 months ago. And I thought I was going to hear this 20 years from now. But I always used to tell him, hey, you're not like what I'm going to tell you. But 20 years from now, you'll look back and say, hey, you were right, And here he did it a couple of years later, right on the podcast. I wasn't ready for it. He's like, hey, I wouldn't have gotten the job at Boeing if you weren't as hard on me as you were, discipline you and mom and all that. And you kept faith in me, and I wouldn't have gotten hired. I beat out a lot of people that had tenure and this and that. And I said, yeah, look, my job as a father, look, I'm there to be your friend, but my job is really to make sure that you will be successful, and then I can, I've done everything that you're going to do 10 times over, good or bad. And, everybody's got skeletons in the closet, but the bottom line is I've learned a lot of stuff, and you're going to have to do the same thing, and you just have to take it like with a grain of salt. But eventually you'll realize that I was only doing it to make sure that you're going to be a success. And who knows, maybe he might come back and take this thing over. I have no idea. But it, you know, I gave up all the family businesses. I gave up the steel recycling. My dad was in upholstery furniture. I did my retail training at Levitt's out in Denver. I put more those little brass little sofa tables together. I unloaded trucks. I scotch guarded. I was a picker on the lift. I went into the jewelry business. I got GA certified when my mom got remarried, and I didn't like sitting behind the showcases in the store waiting for customers to come in. Then I went out and I was in food, and then I look back. Oh, I moved to Atlanta, and I was bored. I didn't want to move back to corporate in New York. I liked living in the South, and I found an ad. It was an ad just like you. Found an ad sales job in the paper when they still had papers, and small world, they had a furniture magazine, and they had met me when I was 3 years old in my dad's office. That because my parents used to run ads in these guys' furniture magazine, and so they put me on an automotive title. I had sales experience, but I didn't have publishing experience. So I called on. They had an automotive interiors magazine. I called Ford, GM, Chrysler, all the interiors, the headliners, the dashboards, all those kind of manufacturers are in there. And then they threw me on another one, and then right after we got bought up by Nielsen, and then right after 9/11, they whacked about 40 or 50 titles in their magazine division, and my construction magazine had gotten the axe. And so I flew up. I offered to buy the magazine, and they wouldn't sell it to me, and I resigned, and I just went out on my own. I mean, everybody told me not to do it. Everybody told me.
There are a lot of people who it takes a few wrong turns and go down one road to find out that road that you're really supposed to be on, and how long is it going to take before I think one of the advices that I give to younger people as they're starting their careers is, hey, once you know that you're on a road that's not for you, turn around and be done. I don't care if it's 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 years, but once you know that that's not it, turn around and go find what it is you're supposed to do.
Yeah. This is an unbelievable bridge story. You'll love this because I'm going to bridge off this, and then we're going to get into your product line. My son got hired he went to FA mechanic school, and he's working in a garage. He's waiting tables, all that stuff. And he got hired by Delta to be, a facility tech on the airplanes. And it took about 2 months for him to go through fingerprinting, background check, all that stuff. So his first day down at Delta, he's not even there 3 hours. And a recruiter called him and said, hey, we need thousands of people at Boeing. You've got your A&P license, and we'll pay 5 times what Delta's paying you if you move to Charleston, and you can get there, in the next 2 weeks. So he called me up, and he said, Dad, what should I do? I said, well, what did your boss said? He said, get the hell out of here. I said, well, listen to him. Get the heck out of here. You go live at the beach and work on, planes, versus, being turning wrenches on the tarmac for Delta. You're working on an OEM. So he spent a year as a contractor in the plant, and then a position opened up where it was a flight ops that he worked on all the planes coming out of the manufacturing plant and any of the planes that needed work that they had sold to other airline operators. And he got hired. He beat out all the people with tenure. But he had all that manufacturing, so he knew everything about the plane. I mean, everything from the cargo bay up to the cockpit and everything in between. And but he's like, Dad, I've only been here 3 hours. Don't worry about it. Okay. If you ever want to come back to Delta, believe me, they're going to take you. All right. Sure. So he left, and Timing in business is everything. It could be 3 hours, 3 days, or 3 years. But I tell people all the time, if you don't like what you're doing, leave. It's one of those things. And if you're not happy, go do something that's going to make you happy. And because being negative, it's just a down, you know. And but when you get that first acknowledgement from like your dad, when he said that, it's devastating. But then when you look back, it's like the best thing that ever happened to me, you know?
Yeah, I questioned the long-term viability of GPRS every day, for the first 5 years. And I'm a big believer in the 10,000 hour rule, where it takes 10,000 hours of practice before you can really become good at something.
Mhm.
And I really view that first 5 years just as practice. I didn't have leadership experience. I didn't have any experience in how to create a vision or how to create goals, for a company. But uh, that came, with in that first 5 years, when I started to see, okay, there's some potential here. I mean, this could, we could do something now. Yeah, what, 22 years later, we're just shy of 800 employees, and we have operations in 54 cities throughout the United States, with Boston to Honolulu, Seattle to Miami, and
Everything
every
in between.
every major city in between. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. Hey, look, and when you started, how many employees did you have?
it was just me.
Yeah, it was just you. There you go. So congratulations. I mean, that's an unbelievable story, and we wish you continued growth and momentum as we close out Q4 in 2023, and we go into 2024. So, bridging to that, let's talk about the last 3 years. So how your firm and your other, satellite offices, et cetera, weathered the storm, because, construction really was state to state, depending on the regulations and, you know, how things were done. Talk about how you weathered the storm, and then we'll talk about some of your product lines, that you offer.
Sure. Well, I was a little disappointed in leadership, governmental leadership on a state and federal level. We were all dealing with this thing we never, expected or had before. We saw construction sites close down in different parts of the country, and I the analogy that I've used, internally within our company is, imagine driving a car down the highway at highway speed, and all of a sudden your windshield's blacked out, and you have no way to clear it. That's what it felt like to me. Is we knew that we were going to be impacted, but we didn't know to what level. And fortunately, our services are, what was the uh,
Deemed essential.
essential services. So we didn't shut down. We plowed through. We had 2 rough months. April and May were rough for us. Prior to April of 2020, we never had a month in the history of the company, going all the way back to 2001. We never had a month where our revenue was lower than the same month of the prior year. Well, that streak broke in April of 2020, as you can imagine. And
Hmm.
May was also a struggle relative to the year before. But we started to see things begin to turn in June, and we barely eclipsed June of 19 in June of 2020. And then we started rolling, and we started building again. And today, GPRS is twice the size that it was in March of 2020, when all of the chaos ensued. But uh, yeah, we've got a great team, unbelievable people. Yeah, they were resilient. They did not act in fear, and the the growth of the company, is a direct result of our people's response to those events.
Construction people, they listen, I give all the credit to all the frontline workers that
Mm.
essential workers, people worked in the hospital, firefighters, police, all those guys that were, have to go to work. But all my buds, they all said, "Hey, man, I just put my mask on. I got on the plane. I went to my site, wherever it was. I had to get stuff done. I mean, I had no choice." And so they were all troopers, and all the stories that they told me. And the biggest thing was that really no one really knew. Well, oh, it'll be a couple weeks. And then it was a couple months. And here we are 3.5 years later, and we're still kind of talking about it. And um, so many companies have their best years, even with a little hiccup, like those couple of months. But even during that, it was probably the best thing that probably happened, because just like myself, I learned so much about my business. When I went through, when March came, I had just had my 10th anniversary event in Jacksonville. I did my first cocktail party in Florida, and then I was on the road looking at hotels in Milwaukee, and uh, you know everything got shut down. And then I was fighting with my printer. I told him, I was like, "Oh my God, half my circulation's furloughed. All these magazines I'm going to print and pay postage are going to get thrown in the trash. What am I going to do?" And he's like, "You've been a publisher forever. You know that it's economies of scale, and the printing press, once it's set up, it's not a big deal." So I bit the bullet, and I put it out there. And then I sat back in April, just like you. And I would get up in the middle of the night. My wife's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I got to think." And I'm like, "What am I going to do?" And my artist and my editor are like, "Hey, go digital. We have all this content. We have a digital magazine, and let's just do it." And so we went digital in May. And the companies that were able, I don't like, I used the word pivot and heard it so many times, but I made the turn, and I rolled the dice again, and it's dicey, no pun intended. But when we did, it was the best decision I ever did. And all the people that I've talked to, contractors, engineers, they've had the best years. They even had better years if they could have had more PMs or superintendents on their jobs that aren't out there, or they would have bitten more of the apple to have more business. But they were smart that they didn't want to bite off more than they could chew. But your story is just like a lot of construction guys that I've had on this podcast, that the last couple of years, even though it was a learning experience for everybody, that they learned about a lot about the company, learned that the people could be productive off site and you could trust them. Some people have to be in that office environment, but that you can get things done and you can grow your business in extenuating circumstances. So, we're growing the company to the number you, like I said, congratulations, because that is some feat. And uh, now that we're kind of out of it, talk about some of the, do you have any new products that are coming down the pipeline with you?
So we're in the development stages of a software that we're building. So we think about the campuses, the sites that we work on repeatedly, universities, hospitals, manufacturing facilities, entertainment venues. And one thing that we see in common across all these sites is they really, very few have good records of what their underground infrastructure looks like. And there's some sites that we go to, yeah, 2, 3 times a week. And we thought, you know what we could do? What if we were to build a platform? We kind of call it like the Google Maps of underground infrastructure. So, what if for facilities, for each individual facility, we created this underground infrastructure map where they can log on and see in real time everything that we've ever done on their site. So all gas lines identified, electric, communications, water, sewer, you name it, depths, paths, locations, shut-off valves. So they have an accurate underground infrastructure map. And for a subscription, they can log in. We host the data. We build the data as things change. We go out to the site. We update and maintain. And they finally have an integrated and updated infrastructure map of everything they have on their property. And that's what we're working on now. We're still in development stages, but we're it's getting closer to, we expect our first official launch in February for this platform.
We do a soft construction software issue. It's issue number 8 or August. We call it numbers now, but when I was printing the magazine, it would have been issue 8 or August. But I'm going to make sure you get the link, and we'll help you get the word out because
We can talk
you
more
know,
about it. We can talk more about it when you're ready. Yeah.
yeah, you know, people don't realize. I don't care if you're going in a backyard or your concrete or whatever. There's always going to be something underneath there. And like we were talking before, my wife and I were federal contractors, so we always do one if we're doing a bamboo removal or poison ivy. It doesn't matter. You just don't know what's underneath there. Well,
Right.
Google, when they did all the Google Maps, you'd see the car driving around with the spinning thing and whatever. So how did you go about getting all of these underground maps
So
per
we,
se?
we we don't have everything. We've been collecting data for the last 3 or 4 years on every job that we go to. We'll take GPS coordinates of our findings and create a map. So if we were to go to any big college campus today, we would have patchy data around that campus. But we have the opportunity to go back to that campus and say, hey, here's what we have. Yeah, if you'd want the full picture, we can come out and do this for you. And we believe that this is going to change the way our services are viewed by our customer base, change the relationship that we have with our customer. Right now, most of our interactions with the owners, or the facility managers, they go through the contractors that are working on site. We think this changes things where uh, we're going to be hired directly by the facility, because of the fact that they become dependent on this software as part of their management system for what their underground infrastructure is on their campus.
I can't imagine how many facilities it's like the Encyclopedia Britannica of underground materials on a concrete, that you just think about how many commercial facilities that are out there, or campuses, schools. Uh,
Well, and I would draw a parallel to your magazines, right? So you abandoned paper, what you said in 2012, was it?
August of 2021 is when was my last
August.
issue.
I mixed up the one and the two.
Yeah,
So,
you're okay.
uh, but right. So if you go into a lot of these engineering offices at these hospitals, these campuses, they've got stacks of prints that are 2 and 3 feet high. And first of all, a lot of the data that's on those prints is not accurate. I would say that it's as designed as opposed to as built.
Hmm.
And then I would say a lot of it's not integrated, where they may have sewer on one set of plans, they may have electric on another set of plans, and gas and communications. And very rarely do we see that there is one unified set of plans where everything is consolidated and it's accurate. With this, we abandon the 5 foot stack tall of paper, the 24 by 36 prints. We get rid of those, and we have one accurate, consolidated database showing everything on campus. And if you only want to see electrical, you shut off the other utility. You can click the link, shut off the
And
other.
it's all digitized.
Yes, sir. You
Yeah.
got it. You can say, hey, yeah, David Corson marked this for me. David Corson, when he gets hired by GPRS, marked this for me on December 15th, 2023. And here's a gas line, and it's 32 inches deep. And I can click on it, and I can show where it originates and where it terminates on my site. I mean, that's where this is going. And yeah, we're really excited about what it's going to do for the industry.
Oh man, that listen, I'm all about technology, so that really really sounds awesome. And you came up with that idea, or was it a conglomerate of workers, or did you
Our,
just have an epiphany one day and said, "Hey, we should do this"?
Well, our leadership team came up with it. We do these off-site leadership meetings, and uh, yeah, one of the smartest guys I know, his name is Jamie Althauser. Yeah, I came back from this thing and talked to him about it, and he's like, Matt, I've been thinking of this, and he had some ideas that I didn't have, and uh, so Jamie oversees everything we do in the field across the country, and uh, so then we put a team together and we kind of brainstorm this and what it could be. So we're calling it Site Map, and uh, yeah, we're getting closer to this first phase of development being complete, and we're really excited for what it's going to bring to the industry.
Very, very exciting. I always like new products when they, you have your core business and then all of a sudden you kind of think about it and then you can go back to your existing clients and then you have an added piece of another tool in your tool belt that you can pull out when you're trying to close another, a new prospect. So that's awesome.
And
Um,
it integrates all of our services. It integrates leak detection. It integrates video pipe inspection. It integrates laser scanning and ground penetrating radar. And eventually, we'll be able to do this inside of buildings, so we can incorporate uh, interior infrastructure as well. So yeah,
so So all you out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk and you're listening to this episode, if you have a facility and you're going to build it, and you wanted to have a record of what's underneath the concrete slab or pad or whatever you're building, here's an opportunity not only where you could have an up-to-date historical data, in real time done, as well as if you have an older facility and you have all those, piles of blueprints and so forth, you can get rid of them. Actually, I was in an architect's office in LA, big architecture firm downtown, and they had taken all the stacks of blueprints. They made a table out of it. It was the coolest thing I ever saw. But, so they made use of it. They reused it. They recycled it into something else. But if you're out there and you're concerned about knowing what's underneath your concrete before you go and cut, or when you're building, you want to have a historical recording of where everything is. Here's a gentleman that can help you. So, Matt, if someone wanted to reach out to you, how would they connect with you or your firm?
so our website is GPRS for ground penetrating radar systems, INC, GPRSinc.com. And then we're in 54 cities across the country, but full contact list on the website. We're based in Toledo, Ohio, but like I said, all over the country. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Matt Aston, Aston, at GPRS. I'll pop right up. I think we have about 600 of our team members on LinkedIn. So if you type in GPRS, you should be able to find plenty of people. But we are eager to help and build this service throughout the industry. We've added a lot of value on the sites that we bring, and I really appreciate an opportunity like this to come share our story and help increase some of that awareness.
Hey, we're going to help you get the word out. And listen, if you're out there, you want to find out more of this, or just talk concrete or cutting or all that stuff, reach out to Matt. LinkedIn, that's where we all are. We all know that. And he'll pop up, and I'm sure that he'll be glad to help you in any way as can, or of any of his team members across the U.S., and up there in Alaska and Hawaii as well. If anybody wants to reach me, you can get me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. And hey, you know how, Matt? I know you don't like me saying this, but I tell you every time, the publicist sent me a press release. I saw it and I was like, okay, this sounds really cool. I don't think I've had this type of person on the episode before. So I went back, short notice, blah, blah, blah. Here we are. So, it's like anything else. We look at everything. And it's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't look at it. That's how Matt got on here. So if you've got an anniversary, a charity event that you've done, new personnel, new product, whatever it might be, send it to us. We look at everything. We have a bunch of, it's very tough getting in the magazine. I'm going to be straight up with you. It's very tough to get in the magazine, but we have all the social media channels. We post every day on content, and throw it at us. Our turnaround time is very quick. We send you the URL. You share it. It's good for our SEO, which is our search engine optimization. So Google can find you and on the web, and it's a win-win. So let us just send it to us. That's all we're asking you to do. And Matt, as we close out our episode, if we're at the end of the year, couple weeks, New Year's, boom, and then we're going to start doing it all over again in 2024. If you wanted to leave our audience with one positive thought or phrase, what would it be?
So yeah, I relate it to being at that at the end of the year. I'm not a big New Year's resolutions guy. If you're gonna try to improve in an area, why wait until January 1st? I mean, just go ahead and start now. But the thought that I would leave as you look at planning for 2024 and creating some vision, go bigger than what you expect. I mean, I think the world around us, it makes it so easy to be average. And we are so much more capable than what we give ourselves credit for. I mean, I was fortunate that my dad saw it in me at a pretty young age, and that's what led me to start GPRS. But uh, we sell ourselves short on what our true capability is, and that's what I would challenge the audience with: is uh, you are capable of far more than you realize, but you just got to be committed and dedicated to pursuing whatever it is that you want to accomplish.
Think big. That's I'm right there with you. Think big. I've been taking digital classes for the last year. I mean, I had a digital magazine. I thought I knew everything. I didn't. I just turned 60 this year, and I've learned so much. I think I got an MBA in online marketing, more than any big school could have given it to me. I just, I've gotten in with some of these influencers, and I'm just about ready. Anyway, it's all about mindset, staying positive, and thinking big. And it's not, I can't do that. It's how am I going to get this done?
Right.
And every day I nurture my page with, I don't know, a video or quotes or so forth. And the other night I was thinking about, I'm surfing the web and I'm, looking for stuff. And it's just, you got to take action. You'll thank if you do something today, you'll thank yourself in a year, and you'll look back and I'm glad you did it. But if you don't do it, you won't be able to do that. So if you have something, not everything's going to work. Everybody's going to make mistakes. You're going to learn from them. That's how you grow things, because not everything's going to go the way that you think it's going to go. But thinking big, oh yeah, I mean, I'm an athlete, so I'm a coach and all that. So I got my lacrosse sticks behind me. I'm a hockey guy. I got my Thrashers jersey. We don't have a hockey team anymore, but I still have it, and as a ticket holder way back when for all those years. But when, all the time I went to prep school. We had 500 people in our school, 100 people in our class. We were all athletes though, but we used to take on all these big schools, 3,000 kids in New Jersey, and we were always the underdog. But we never went in there saying, "Oh, Harrison High School is going to just clean our clock," or Montclair is going to, clean us up on the ice. I never went in there with that. I always went in with the attitude that, "Hey, man, we're going to get the W. I don't care if it's an ugly one or a win one. It's just a W. I don't care how I get it." So I never had that kind of mentality. It's not in my DNA. Quitting, never quit, never give up, and make mistakes and learn from them. So, but the thinking big thing is just you're so right, because we didn't get to where we were if you didn't think big. And
No,
right?
right. No, it's frustrating to see people that you see potential in, but for whatever reason, they don't have the confidence to just to push themselves a little bit. And untapped potential is one of the most frustrating things that I see. I mean, you see potential greatness in someone, and it's on them. You can't want it more for someone else than they want it for themselves, and sometimes that's really frustrating. But uh, yeah, that's the message that I've been preaching to our company for the last few years is we are capable of so much more than we realize.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The guy that runs my class the other night, it really hit home. He said, "I want you to treat your company like a pet. If you have a dog or cat, you have to feed it every day. And if you don't feed it, they're gonna eventually perish. So if you're, and if let's say your company's doing $1,000 and another thousand, you're not growing. So if you don't feed your company every day, you're doing yourself and your firm a disservice. So you want to feed it as much as possible, and that's by doing things. And the way you do that is by thinking big, because when you think big, you got to get more stuff done. So that hit home with me. I'm going into the weekend very positive after that. So thank you for sharing
Right,
that.
right.
So a couple things before we close out this episode. Number one, if you're out there on the construction site, we want you to be safe. Okay, we want you to get home, have some dinner, see your kids, your animals, your wife, your partner, and catch some Z's and be able to do it again. Number two, even though winter's coming in, depending on where you're living, bottom line is stay hydrated. I got my electrolytes in here. Stay hydrated. When you get dehydrated, I don't care if you're an athlete or a construction worker, you get headaches. That's when you make mistakes. And that's when you get hurt. So we don't want anybody getting hurt. So stay liquefied. Liquefaction is awesome. And lastly, hit the like button out there and the subscribe button. We want to get the algorithm so we can, have Matt's story out there. Okay, so they can find him. So we appreciate you doing that. So Matt, pleasure meeting you on the web, and I know you're moving down into my neck of the woods here shortly, and hopefully I'll get to meet you sometime in person, and we can go out on the site and I can see how your equipment works. And I love seeing all those gadgets and all that stuff on the site. It just brings back memories of playing in the scrapyard and the acetylene torches. And yeah, I think I did everything. I still have my erector set. And it's metal. It's a collector's item, but I built so much stuff with that thing. So I look forward to meeting you. And listen, everybody out there, listen, have a great holiday season. Relax, recharge yourself, clean your mind, and start 2024 off with a bang. And here's what you gotta do: think big, just like Matt said. If you start the year off big and thinking big, it makes it so much easier. If you wait to start and you get halfway through the year and then you start, it's probably not going to happen. So over the holidays, think of something big that you want to do, whether it's business or personal or whatever. Think big and go do it. Take action, TA, and you will thank yourself when you look back and say, "Hey, I did that." Maybe just one step at a time. You got to walk before you can run, and or learn how to walk before you can think about running. But if you think big, you'll thank yourself. So with that said, Matt, say goodbye from Toledo.
Yeah, thank you. I really again, grateful for the opportunity to be on here. Happy holidays, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to helping out on your job site in any way we can. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, concrete, that's, they're going to clear the land, then the concrete comes in, so the foundation and all that other stuff. So I might be calling. I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, just below the Beaufort Dam on Lake Lanier, about 25 miles north of downtown Atlanta. And everybody, have a great holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Hanukkah ends tonight. And happy Festivus too, for those know what it is with Jerry Seinfeld. So anyway, just enjoy it and get ready. Now look, 2023 was a wild year. I still got my seatbelt on, but 2024 I think is going to be even wilder. So you might want to have to tighten it up a little, but it's okay because it's going to be a wild ride and you're going to remember it the rest of your life, just like you're going to remember 2023 when we close the books out on it. So Matt, thank you so much for squeezing us in here right before the holidays. And everybody out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk, we will see you next time. Matt, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. It was awesome, okay?
And
everybody, we'll see you out there. Happy New Year and happy holidays. Thanks.